Assalamu alaikum viewers. Today we will talk to the first British Muslim MP from London and the Minister for the Communities of Britain, Mr. Sadiq Khan, on the recent issues regarding the British Pakistani community in the UK. Could you please tell us that as a minister, what you have done to foster the community relations and what are the expectations of the community?
The UK is a very diverse society. We've got people here of different ethnic origins and different religions and beliefs. And one of the things we believe as a government is that the government has a role to play to make sure that different communities get on together. We call that community cohesion. And what we've done is made sure that local authorities, that local communities have the tools at their disposal to make communities, make bridges. So this year in November will be the first ever Interfaith Week, where different faiths will come together to celebrate the different religions that they practice. We're also doing work to put duties on local authorities. So with local authority, when it's inspected, the inspectors, when they do their comprehensive area assessment, look at how a local council is taking steps to make a community more cohesive. Other things we're doing is one of the problems many people had was, who were new to the country, is their inability to speak English. Language is a big obstacle, so we're encouraging people to learn English. More and more further education colleges are providing those courses, and the idea is for us to make sure that all communities get on together, and all the research we've done and undertaken suggests that people have a sense of belonging and do believe they get on with their neighbours, some of them from a different background and ethnicity.
What do you think that how the Islam can be separated from the terrorism, as the mainstream Muslims do not support terrorism, but Western governments and media project all with one brush?
Well, look, I'm not a Muslim MP. I'm an MP who happens to be a Muslim. And it's an important distinction to make. In London, for example, we have 74 MPs of different faiths, different ethnicities, and they represent all communities. In the UK, we have 646 MPs of different faiths and backgrounds. It's not simply an MP of Muslim faith that can represent Muslims. I represent Muslims in my constituency, Hindus, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, those without faith. I understand, though, that there are additional responsibilities that I have, because in London I'm the first ever MP of Muslim faith, and people will come to me with issues, and I accept that. The challenges we have are, frankly speaking, after 7/7, after 9/11, many people associate Islam with terrorism and associate Muslims with terrorists, which isn't true. And the challenge those of us who practice the faith of Islam have is to make sure that we project the right image of Islam. And actually most non-Muslims understand that it wasn't people like you or me or your viewers that were responsible for 7th of July. It was for terrorists, it was for criminals. And they can distinguish the two. What we mustn't do is fall into the trap to believe there is a clash of civilizations, or to believe that there is a war on terror against Muslims. It's not true. And the irony is this: many, many more Muslims are the victims of terrorism than non-Muslims. In Pakistan, in the last couple of years, 2,000 Pakistanis of Muslim faith have died at the hands of terrorists. When I was in Pakistan recently, I saw the Pakistani population are fed up. Just like populations around the world of other faiths are fed up. So it's important that we understand that there are some people who practice a perverse interpretation of Islam, who will try and divide communities, divide Muslims from non-Muslims. There are some non-Muslims, the British National Party, extremist parties, who try to seek to divide Muslims from non-Muslims. And what we need to do as people who understand what Islam is about is to understand our faith and to work with allies, people who agree with us, to make sure we don't allow these people to divide our communities.
You are an MP of the Pakistani origin. How do you define your responsibilities towards the Pakistani community and Pakistan?
That's a very good question. I mean, in the constituency that I represent, there are 101,000 people who live there. Some of them are of Pakistani origin, but most of them are not. My duty is to serve the entire community. When you're a minister in Her Majesty's government, your duty is to the entire population of the UK, and not just to those of Muslims of Pakistani heritage. But in the UK at the moment, we have a population of 60 million. Out of those 60 million, roughly 2 million are British Muslims, and out of those, approximately half are of Pakistani origin. Between 700,000 and a million are of Pakistani origin. They've got good links with Pakistan. Many of them visit Pakistan regularly. Each year, there is 1.7 million journeys between Pakistan and the UK. We know, for example, many British citizens of Pakistan heritage send money back to Pakistan in remittances. I visited in Mirpur and Islamabad projects. There were schools, there were universities paid for by British citizens of Pakistan heritage. So people have an affinity and a love for the country of their origin or their parents, where they came from. And we need to understand that Pakistan has a long history with the UK. One of my jobs as a minister is to make sure we build on those friendships and relationships we have. We have common problems as well. Terrorism is a problem that faces both Pakistan and the UK, and I believe that together we're going to try and we will defeat this problem.
You have recently visited Pakistan. What are your observations regarding the Pakistani people?
No, most of the people I met, I mean, I went to Karachi, Islamabad, Mirpur. Most of the people I met in Pakistan are fed up with a negative portrayal of Pakistan. They're fed up with a negative portrayal of Pakistanis. They're fed up with a negative portrayal of Islam. They're fed up with some people who claim to follow Islam having a perverse interpretation and giving Islam a bad name. They're fed up with the terrorist attacks in Pakistan. The civic society, both women, young people, laymen, are interested in making sure that civil society takes on its responsibilities, and we need to make sure we work with Pakistan to do so. One of the interesting things about my visit to Pakistan was how much we have in common. How much, not just government to government things in common, but people to people things in common. Look, most Pakistanis are like British citizens. They want a peaceful life. They want prosperity. They want their children to do well. They want to live in peace and security. And what we need to do is work with them to do so. We've got very good links with Pakistan. The UK, for example, gives approximately 600 and so million pounds in aid over the next 3 years. It was increased to 480 million pounds in the last comprehensive spending review. We have each year coming to trading with Pakistan roughly between 1.6 and 1.9 billion pounds. We've got lots of good relationships with Pakistan. We need to build upon them, and the Pakistani people want to work with the rest of the community to do just that.
Generally, Pakistan receives a negative image through the media in the West as compared to India. Why do you think this is, and do you have any plans to rectify it?
Well, look, I think the responsibility of improving the reputation of a country falls on the country. I mean, if my reputation is getting negative portrayed compared to yours, I have a duty to make sure my reputation is not impugned. And I think Pakistan has a real challenge to improve her reputation. I'll give you a simple statistic. In the UK at the moment, there are a number of trials taking place with terrorist links, and approximately 70% have some link to Pakistan. Now that means that Pakistan gets a negative portrayal against other countries, and Pakistan is taking steps to try and deal with that. The Pakistani government and the Pakistani people are as well. But you have to understand that very often the media wants an easy story. Very often the media likes to portray a person or a country in a negative light, so it's good versus evil, black versus white. And I think the responsibility on Pakistan, on Pakistanis, on people who have an affection for Pakistan, is to make sure that we portray the good things that Pakistan gives as well. Pakistan has a population, as you know, of 170 million people who want to portray a positive image of Islam and the country, and who want to do the right thing. And we need to make sure we help those Pakistanis who want a positive image to be able to do just that.
Do you agree with the notion that Labour Party's indiscreet and thoughtless attempts to demonize Pakistan at the drop of a hat is causing millions of Britons of Pakistani origins to rethink their support for the party, and the majority of them are traditionally Labour voters?
Where's the evidence for that? What I see is a party that over the last 40, 50 years has taken huge steps to help people of Pakistani origin, whether it's going back to 47, it was a Labour government that gave Pakistan independence. Whether it's in 1965, the first government to pass a Race Relations Act was a Labour government. Whether it's in 97, abolishing the primary purpose rule in relation to immigration, or doubling the aid to Pakistan, or allowing people of Muslim origin to have faith schools like the Christians and Jews do. Whether it's, for example, having the first ever peers in the House of Lords of Pakistani origin, or having MPs of Pakistani heritage, whether it's, for example, ensuring that we have good trade links with Pakistan, 1.6 to 1.9 billion pounds a year, whether it's reaching out the hand of friendship when Pakistan suffers terrorist attacks. I mean, I see evidence of a country and a party committed to making sure that we treat people based upon a criteria of fairness. And that means, for example, many British citizens of Pakistani heritage vote for the Labour Party, join the Labour Party. Many of them are councillors, some of them are MPs, some of them are ministers. And I think you judge a political party on its track record and on its history as well as its aspirations for the future. And on all of those criteria, there is no other party in town in this country who does more for people of Pakistani heritage, of Pakistan, of people with that certain socio-economic background than the Labour Party.